Kick-off just a few minutes away at the Allianz Arena. Reminder, Bayern Munich line-up, Manuel Neuer in goal, and it's a back four of Konrad Laimer, Dayot Upamecano, Jonathan Tah and Josip Stanisic. Two in midfield, Joshua Kimmich and Alexander Pavlovic. And then it's a bank of three, Michael Olise, Lennart Karl, Serge Gnabry and Harry Kane, the lone striker. And Harry Kane, Adrian Clark, is the man we're going to talk about next. What a phenomenal record he has, not just in the Champions League, but specifically for Bayern. We mentioned the fact that he scored, 15 goals in 16 games at home for Bayern in the Champions League.
Yeah, he's struggling for form, isn't he, Harry Kane? I mean, he is some player, and yeah, he's one of the world's best. There's no doubt about that, especially in that number 9 position. But what struck me, or what has struck me about him this season, is the way that Vincent Kompany is using him. He's often coming into midfield to link play. He's kind of almost their best playmaker as well as their top scorer, and that's what sets him apart from so many other great footballers out there. Yeah, what a signing he's proved to be for Bayern Munich.
And Michael Olise, of course, we're familiar with him from the Premier League as well, from his days with Crystal Palace. He's got 10 assists so far this season as well. He's having a great season, attracting a bit of interest again from back in the Premier League.
Well, yeah, but he can attract a lot, all the interest he likes, but he's playing for one of the best clubs in the world here, isn't he, at Bayern Munich, and he is thriving. I love watching him play. He gave Arsenal a lot of problems. I know that it was a disappointing night for them, but he has got some talent, and in that left foot, when he cuts inside, he can cause some serious damage.
And Sporting Lisbon line up with Ruiz Silva in goal, a back four of Ivan Fresneda right back, then the central two of Usman Diomande and Eduardo Quaresma, who comes in today, alongside Mateus Reyes at left back. That's just his third start of the season in any competition for Sporting. A midfield two of Morten Hjulman, the captain, and João Simoes. A bank of three, Jenny Catamo, Maxi Araujo playing in that rather unfamiliar role, and Alisson Santos and Luis Suarez, who is the key man, again, Clarkey, up top for Sporting.
Yeah, 9 goals in 13 games. He was pretty prolific at his previous club, Almeria, and he's come in and he's looked very comfortable. They needed to fill that hole, of course, left by Victor Gyökeres, and it's a different shape. They played with a back three under Amorim, of course, but Suarez has helped them through this process of getting over losing their star head coach and, of course, their leading marksman as well. So he's been absolutely vital to the way they go about their work.
Well, no Portuguese team has ever beaten Bayern Munich at home in 15 previous attempts. All those matches, 2 draws and 13 defeats for the Portuguese outfits. And a reminder that the last time Sporting Lisbon actually played against Bayern in Munich, they were beaten by 7 goals to 1. I think the aggregate score over 2 legs, Adrian, was 12-1, which is still a knockout record for the Champions League.
Ouch. Yeah. Well, look, there shouldn't be too many scars, because I don't think any of the players are available that played that night. In, what was it, 08-09. So look, it's a new crop, and this Sporting side, they come in with their own confidence. I think the last time they got beaten was October the 1st against Napoli. They put up a good fight in that particular game. They weren't far off it. So, they come in feeling good about themselves, even though they're a touch depleted tonight.
One of only 2 defeats they have suffered all season, Sporting, the other one being in the domestic competition against Porto by 2 goals to 1. Our referee tonight, Nicholas Walsh of Scotland. The 2 captains have just come together just outside the centre circle. Manuel Neuer, of course, a veteran of these big Champions League nights with Bayern Munich, and Morten Hjulman, his opposite number, the captain for Sporting Lisbon. It's a clear evening in the wonderful city of Munich, and of course the Allianz Arena, always a very atmospheric venue, built with the 2006 World Cup and specifically Bayern Munich in mind. I think they shared it for a while, didn't they, with 1860 Munich, but those days are long since gone. And very interesting to see that Maxi Araujo playing as the number 10. They're perhaps got 1 or 2 square pegs in round holes tonight because of those injuries.
Yeah, it just needs must, isn't it? Trincao would normally play there, but Araujo is a fairly experienced player. He's played at the top level for club and country, so you'd like to think he'd be able to adapt tonight. Be interesting. I think Hjulman, the captain, you just spoke about him, I think he's got a vital role to play. He's alongside João Simoes, who's a youngster, of course, limited experience at this kind of level. I think you might have to nurse him through this match.
Vincent Kompany, the coach of Bayern Munich, wearing the beanie tonight. It is a little bit chilly. His opposite number, Rui Borges, who's doing good things, steadying the ship for Sporting Lisbon after the chaos following the departure of Ruben Amorim to Manchester United. So we are underway at the Allianz Arena in the first half. Bayern Munich in their traditional all-red kit, and Sporting Lisbon playing in a very natty all-black kits this evening, not the green and white hoops that we're used to seeing.
Yeah, slightly disappointed, if I'm honest, because it's not as if green clashes with the Bayern Munich colours, is it? But
no.
Yeah, it is what it is. I guess they've got away kits to sell, but look, yeah, it's going to be. Look, they're just staying in their shape at the moment. 4-2-3-1, and I think they're going to have to play this way for a lot of this game, because Bayern Munich are very, very comfortable in possession.
And they are in possession of the ball at the moment. It's Dayot Upamecano trying to feed it down the right-hand side. But Lennart Karl stopped in his tracks, and Morten Hjulman will stride forward over halfway for Sporting, looking to launch the first attack of the game. But Luis Suarez is held up midway in the Bayern half down the left-hand side. He went to ground with a big yelp into the night sky as well, but no whistle.
Yeah, it was a big old squeal, wasn't it, from Luis Suarez, but the referee not interested. Nicholas Walsh from Scotland. Yeah, it was a nice, well-timed challenge from Upamecano. And yeah, they're back on the ball here, Bayern Munich, popping it around for fun. And there'll be a lot of positional rotation. You see Lennart Karl here dropping in to the centre of midfield. He's the nominal number 10, but he's given licence really by Vincent Kompany, as are a lot of these guys, to kind of just go where they feel is right.
Well, we're going to see an awful lot of Bayern Munich in possession of the ball, and they've got a throw-in at the moment, just about 5 or 10 metres inside their own half on the far side of the pitch. Winners by 5-0 against Stuttgart in the Bundesliga at the weekend, and Harry Kane was left on the bench for that one, as were quite a few players. He only needed 30 minutes and he got a hat-trick.
I know. It can't be very often that Harry Kane has been on the bench in recent times for club or country. So I mean, I don't know whether he's done the right or wrong thing here by coming on and making the difference. The manager might look at Harry Kane now and start to think, well, maybe I'll leave him out a little bit more often, and if he can come on and influence matches in that way.
Well, he's had that luxury of being able to rest 6 or 7 players. They're all back tonight. And let's see what they can do with the ball. They're on the right-hand side through the exciting youngster Lennart Karl, who really has exploded onto the scene this season. There are even 1 or 2 calls in Germany for him to be in the World Cup squad next summer. The ball now with Harry Kane, central position, 30 yards out, first shot of the night, sails over the crossbar, but an early warning perhaps for Sporting. They can't really afford to give Harry Kane too much space.
No, we know that he likes to play on the shoulder of defenders, but here he just drops short, receives it on the half turn, and it's a speculative effort, left foot. I don't think he was very likely to score from that range, but it was just an early sighter.
28 goals in 22 matches in all competitions this season for Harry Kane, all of which of course is good news for England as well ahead of the World Cup.
Very much so, yeah. I mean, I'm just always a little bit nervous when it comes to these major tournaments. If England were to lose him to injury, that status among the favourites might change.
Here's Michael Olise for Bayern. Just level with the penalty area. Ball breaks for Konrad Laimer. His ball across the face of the box. Took a touch off a Sporting defender, and out it goes for a Bayern Munich throw-in, which Josip Stanisic will take. Bayern with the patient build-up. Joshua Kimmich playing the ball back to Upamecano on halfway. Now to the right-hand side, Konrad Laimer, who, by the way, is walking the yellow card tightrope tonight. If he gets one more, he will miss Bayern Munich's next game in the Champions League. I mean, they've got plenty of backup. There's no problem with that. And they're well positioned in the league stage at the moment, in third spot behind Arsenal and PSG, but only behind the Parisians on goal difference. Build up again down the right-hand side. Michael Olise in possession, bringing Joshua Kimmich into the play, more central, about 25 metres from the Sporting Lisbon goal. Olise cuts infield, level with the D, and then stabbed forward by Stanisic inside the box, and the ball bobbles around a little bit, and the first goal arrives. Easy as you like. Lennart Carl with a finish, but the whistle has gone here, and whether this one's going to be ruled out, I have a feeling it might be. I think the linesman popped the flag up on the near side. Did he go a fraction too early? Serge Gnabry down the left. Looks as though he might have done. And the ball did come off the winger before it broke for Lennart Carl. The finish was good, but the flag's gone up, and I fancy this one's going to be ruled out.
Yeah, I think it will. It's tight, because is it the arm of Serge Gnabry that's offside? And of course you can't use your arm, that it comes from the shoulder, so it's going to be really, really close. This, he's the player who gets on the end of that little through ball, little slip pass into the box. It rebounds off him out to Carl, and left-footed. I mean, he's so calm. The 17-year-old just curls it into the far corner. It's a really, really nice finish, and it would be a shame for him if this does indeed get ruled out. But they're having a good look at this, Simon.
Yeah, the VAR check continues, and credit to the referee's assistant as well, who kept the flag down at least until the ball hit the back of the net. But that decision is now confirmed. Offside, the goal will not stand. And there are one or two boos from the Bayern fans, but I think probably tellingly, Clarky, is the fact that there weren't 50,000 boos, so I think they probably knew. Yeah, they pretty did. Look, the flag went up fairly quickly, didn't it? So it wasn't one that they can really blame, the VAR for. It's unlucky. It's unfortunate for Carl, because it was a gorgeous finish, and of course he scored at Emirates Stadium in the last match. Fantastic team goal that was, by the way. That was an amazing finish on the run from him, and this was a really tidy finish as well. So yeah, but I've got a feeling he'll be scoring plenty more goals in the red of Bayern Munich. Almost 7 minutes played on Talksport 2. You're listening to UEFA Champions League in partnership with TNT Sports, the home of European football. Simon Hill and Adrian Clark with you tonight. It's still Bayern Munich 0, Sporting Lisbon 0, despite that disallowed goal. And Sporting maybe in with a sniff of a chance here. Hjulmand threads it through to Luis Suarez, who might have been standing in an offside position as well. There is no flag, and the ball squirts out for a throw-in on the near touchline to Bayern.
Sloppy, wasn't it? From Upamecano, who I know has made improvements over the last 12 months under Vincent Kompany, but I just think there's a mistake in him. And there he was very lackadaisical, and Sporting almost hurt Bayern.
Well, Bayern have the ball back just inside their own penalty area. Fortunately for them, that mistake from Upamecano did not prove costly for them. And the former RB Leipzig central defender is back on the ball and just taps it short. And here's your man again, Harry Kane. Well, he was inside his own half of the field picking up the play, just underlining the point that you made, and spraying the ball out towards Serge Gnabry. He'll have a run at the fullback, and he's got past him. Still going, Serge Gnabry. Here's Lennart Carl. Struggled to get the ball out from between his feet, and then the pass from Joshua Kimmich back into the penalty area was awry. And Sporting Lisbon can break down the right-hand side through Jenny Katamo. He has support from Ivan Fresneda, but has to turn back towards the halfway line, and that little possibility, that little glimpse of a breakaway for Sporting disappeared in an instant.
Yeah, they regrouped very well, didn't they, Bayern Munich there? They got players back ever so quickly. Katamo, he was willing to travel with the ball at his feet. He was very direct, but yeah, he just thought better of it and thought, I'll just recycle possession and we go again. And in fairness to Sporting, they're popping the ball around okay themselves, aren't they? Not in a hurry to move it forward.
Well, they're on a run of 12 games unbeaten in all competitions. 9 wins and 3 draws, but they turned the ball over. Alisson Santos rather careless in possession, midway inside his own half of the field. And Bayern are back in control of the football through Jonathan Tah, who was one of those rested against Stuttgart at the weekend. The off-season signing from Bayer Leverkusen, where he won the title the season before last under a certain Xabi Alonso. Really upsetting the odds and upsetting Bayern Munich's unbroken run of Bundesliga titles. Michael Olise links up with Harry Kane, who again drops deep and shows nice footwork to outsmart his opponent, bring Konrad Laimer into play, back towards the halfway line, and Jonathan Tah. Kimmich has to be smart to nip in ahead of his opponents. And Bayern just a little bit untidy in possession, but they're back in control now, just inside their own half of the field.
Yeah, 84% of possession has belonged to the home side so far in this game. I don't think it will remain that high, but they're certainly dominant.
Konrad Laimer moving forwards. 10 minutes played. by Munich 0, Sporting Lisbon 0. Michael Olise evades the challenge of his opponents. Now it's Konrad Laimer who'll get the cross in, but all the Bayern attackers, and particularly Josip Stanisic, had been drawn towards the near post, and the ball went towards the far.
Yeah, it was just a little bit overhit, wasn't it? It's really interesting the way they've set up here tonight, Bayern, because Laimer, he's really provided the bulk of the width with Olise, often sort of playing inside forward, closer to Kane. And I think that's partly because Kane likes to drop in. They need someone up there in a central position. As you see now, Laimer's got it, and Olise is really in the middle of the pitch, which is quite unusual.
Well, Konrad Laimer, of course, did start life as a midfielder, but he's really been converted into a right fullback by Vincent Kompany. As Michael Olise gets the better of Mateus Reis and runs into the penalty area, shaping for the shot, which is blocked by Reis. And now the flag goes up. And Sporting Lisbon survived that particular raid, but it looked promising for a moment. Michael Olise with some nifty footwork.
I wouldn't want to mark him. I really wouldn't. He is such a clever player. There he did stay wide, and he flicked the ball over the defender and got the other side.
We've just seen the automated review of the offside. Goodness me, that was a lot tighter than it looked to the naked eye, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was millimetres. It was millimetres, that's for sure. Just that underarm area, or the shirt line, or whatever they call it. It is just a fraction offside. Really unfortunate for the Germans.
Busy night of Champions League football to come on Talksport. English clubs heavily involved, of course. Inter Milan against Liverpool, Atalanta, Chelsea, Spurs, Slavia Prague, as Michael Olise unleashes one from just outside the D, and again sees his effort blocked, but Bayern are back on the offensive. Serge Gnabry works it out towards Stanisic on the far left touchline. Back central now with Joshua Kimmich, around 25-30 metres from the Sporting Lisbon goal. Olise wide right into the penalty area, and he's looking for the return. And Lennart Karl with a rather tepid effort in the end, unbefitting his status as one of the globe's most promising youngsters.
Yeah, it was a remarkably bad shot, wasn't it? He just sort of spun on the edge of the box and then clipped it very, very gently, and it just trickled 3 or 4 yards wide of the far post. Never threatened at all Rui Silva's goal, but already he's heavily involved, isn't he? Often, young players, they might take time to settle into games, but this kid is at the forefront, really, of what Bayern are doing. 17
years of age he is. Bayern's youngest ever Champions League goal scorer, which he was against Club Brugge, and as you mentioned, Clarkey, that's consolation in the last Champions League game when they were beaten 3-1 by Arsenal. Their only defeat this season in 22 competitive matches, and again they're on the attack, but Sporting have numbers back and scooped forward by goalkeeper Rui Silva towards Luis Suarez, who was a little bit isolated, but Hjulmann's managed to pick the ball up inside the centre circle. And Sporting might be able to set something up here down the left through Araujo. Alisson Santos, I should say, takes over. And a rare spell of possession of the football for Sporting.
Well, it's important that they have it, though, isn't it? Otherwise you spend the whole game chasing.
Chasing was Araujo to a through ball, but it was beyond him and easily gathered by Manuel Neuer in the Bayern goal.
Yeah, I just feel it is important once they get hold of it, not to give it straight back to Bayern Munich. They're going to do a lot of off-the-ball running here tonight, and the defenders will need a breather. It's as simple as that. I mean, we expected a 4-2-3-1. It's kind of developed really into more of a back five tonight. I really feel there's much of a number 10 is they've tucked back into a very defensive shape here, Sporting, and I think that's natural.
Yeah, and if anything, I mean, Araujo was listed as the number 10, but he's playing wider on the left-hand side, more attacking than his usual left full-back role, but still in a wider area. Almost a quarter of an hour played. Bayern Munich 0, Sporting Lisbon 0 on Talksport 2, with Simon Hill and Adrian Clark, and Joshua Kimmich has the ball for Bayern Munich, again just outside the Sporting penalty area. Wide left is Josip Stanisic. Back inside it comes again. They'll keep rotating the ball, trying to move Sporting around. Lima to Elise on the right-hand side now. Back central again for Joshua Kimmich. Up towards Harry Kane. Oh, and it was over the top of the English number 9 and could have caused a problem, that, as it just dropped in towards the corner of the goal, but Rui Silva was alive to that danger.
Yeah, look, he's so good on the ball, Kimmich, isn't he? He can just drop it wherever he likes, and he almost drops it onto the head of Kane. Quaresma's there, and you think he's going to head it, but then he can't reach the ball either, and it skips off the skiddy surface here, the Allianz Arena, and it almost catches the goalkeeper off guard. In the end, he makes the save. But yeah, Kimmich is a player. If you give him time and space, he will hurt you.
You're listening to Bayern Munich against Sporting Lisbon in the Champions League live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk. We've just seen the possession stats, 75% in favour of Bayern Munich. I'm surprised it's not a bit higher, actually.
Yeah, well, on the one I've got in front of my screen is 81%, so it's somewhere around that.
As Lennart Karl drives towards the Sporting penalty area, it breaks here for Michael Elise. Again, everybody behind the ball for Sporting, clipped in by Joshua Kimmich. Gnabry at the back post, and Kane couldn't reach it, and then Lennart Karl trying to readjust the feet, almost a little scissor kick as he tried to get over the top of the ball, but he's put it way over the crossbar.
Yeah, again, it's Kimmich at the heart of it. He just clips the ball to the far stick. Serge Gnabry knocks it back across the face of goal. Kane can't get there, and he just bounces it up a little bit too high for Lennart Karl. He's only got little legs, hasn't he? He's a very diminutive player. I just wonder whether Karl might have been able to take a touch here.
Yeah.
He goes for the one-touch finish, doesn't he? And it's awkward.
I think you're right. I think you're right. But I guess because he's so close to the 6-yard box, it's almost instinctive as a footballer, isn't it? You've got to shoot.
Absolutely. But he had a little bit more time than he thought there, and he just couldn't get his knee over the ball. I think it was destined to fly over the crossbar, but very, very easy, wasn't it, the way Bayern opened up the Portuguese side there.
Michael Elise, little nutmeg through the legs of Araujo. Such a tricky, skillful player, Michael Elise. Back with Kimmich again, teasing with the cross, but Harry Kane slightly off balance, just indicating to Joshua Kimmich that the ball had a little bit too much on it, perhaps.
Yeah, it was a sort of wry smile from Harry Kane. He's like, oh, it's just a fraction too high for me. But again, it's the same player, isn't it? The Bayern midfielder is sort of running the game at the moment. I think Sporting need to get a grip of him, maybe just be a touch more aggressive, get tighter, because as I said earlier, if you don't put pressure on Joshua Kimmich, he will put the ball wherever he wants.
Foul by Konrad Lima on Maxi Araujo, gives Sporting a free kick and a little bit of respite, even though it's deep inside their own half. They try and puncture the press and gain another free kick, this time the foul by Jonathan Tah on Luis Suarez, who's ploughing that lone furrow, and boy, it is a bit lonely at the moment for him in that number 9 role. Yeah,
he isn't a willing runner, in fairness, but yeah, he is isolated. It's important that the wide players kind of make those diagonal runs infield where possible, just to give him a little bit of support. Otherwise, it's just going to keep coming back, isn't it, at this overworked Sporting defence.
Played forward by Osman Diomande. Suarez holding the ball up for Sporting, which is what they need their striker to do. Now the runners have made their way forward, but unfortunately the pass from Suarez doesn't reward any of those runs. And now they've got to switch on defensively, because Serge Gnabry is going back the other way inside the penalty area, across the face of goal. But nobody there to apply the finishing touch at the back post. But again, it's another little warning for Sporting.
Yeah, I think that's shot number 7. We're not that long into this match, are we? Not even hit the 20-minute mark yet. Very direct, 1v1, goes on the outside, tries his luck with his left foot, but the angle's always taking the ball away. And I think it was a couple of foot wide in the end, but yeah, it's wave after wave at the moment from the Bundesliga side.
And I guess also, Adrian, shows the dangers of when Sporting do push 1 or 2 forward, which they've got to try and do at some point, then you can leave a gap or 2 in behind. But Sporting are on the attack down the right. And it's with Jenny Katamon. He looks to get around Stanisic, who stood his ground, but the ball does come off the Bayern defender, and Sporting have a corner.
Wow, yeah, they just made ground there, didn't they? That's what it was all about. Katamo kept hold of the ball, goes on the outside of Stanisic, who defends it nicely enough, but can't stop the corner. So yeah, look, can Sporting make the most of this? They're going to have to, you sense tonight, take any opportunity they have once they get into the final third.
Well, they've thrown a couple of their big central defenders forward, Osman Diomande in particular. 21 minutes played, still Bayern Munich 0, Sporting Lisbon 0. The in-swinging corner towards the near post, but headed well over the top by Mateus Reyes, who'd sent himself forward for the corner kick, and that's a set piece a little bit wasteful, and Rui Borges, their coach, is a little bit frustrated clearly on the sidelines.
Yeah, look, he got it the first contact on the near post, but it never threatened, did it? I'll tell you what though, I was at Emirates Stadium for the game against Arsenal, and they look wobbly, really wobbly from corners. They didn't look comfortable defending them, and I know that in the Bundesliga Bayern have also let in a few from dead balls.
Here's Konrad Laimer down the right, forced to check back by Reyes. Now Michael Olise taking over in a slightly more central position. Carl looking for a little dink to get around his defender, but again Sporting had numbers around the ball and they thump it clear. Tough one to deal with for Upamecano, having to take it over his shoulder, and the back pass towards Neuer is a bit strong. Neuer's footwork is short to see off the threat of the Sporting attacker, who tried to put him under pressure, and Bayern are back comfortably in possession.
Yeah. Look, if there's a keeper that's comfortable with the ball at his feet, it's Manuel Neuer, isn't it? Yeah, they like to use him as that sweeper keeper. But look, he made a bit of a ricket, didn't he, in that defeat to Arsenal? Yeah, come off his line and missed the ball completely. So yeah, he'll be eager to have an error-free evening, I'm sure.
His 157th game in the UEFA Champions League tonight. He's 5th on the all-time appearance list, Manuel Neuer. You can hear the Bayern fans in full voice behind us. Last champions of Europe in 2020, when they won all 11 games that they played in. The first team, I think, to win it with a 100% record in the modern era. And this team certainly capable of perhaps going all the way again. Dayot Upamecano on the ball. Konrad Laimer. The back heel intended for Michael Olise. He has got it, but it wasn't the best in all honesty. Olise darts in field. The ball is again just outside the Sporting Lisbon penalty area, where it's been for much of the preceding 23 and a bit minutes. Joshua Kimmich, once labelled the ultimate Swiss Army knife type player for his adaptability. Again probing. Lennart Karl with the touch. Pavlovic against the return ball. Again, they're just pushing the ball around from side to side, looking to move the Sporting Lisbon defenders around. Serge Gnabry fires one in, and it's a good save in the end from Rui Silva. Probably the first time he's really been tested.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, it was a decent effort, this. Serge Gnabry cuts inside the right back and whips it right-footed. And I think that he's curling towards the far corner, and at full stretch, Rui Silva just tips it behind.
One international cap for Portugal, which was back in 2021. The 31-year-old, the corner's been whipped in, but easily dealt with by Sporting for the moment. And for a second, Luis Suarez left the ball behind, but it is returned further forward now in the direction of Ivan Fresneda. And a spell in possession for the visitors. They're trying to turn through midfield in the shape of Jenny Katamo, and he got a little bump on the way through, so it'll be a free kick for Sporting, who've managed to survive 25 minutes with their goal intact, still 0-0.
And it has been a survival job, hasn't it? It's just a case of having to weather the storm. But they've handled it okay. Look, Bayern, yes, they've had a goal disallowed, but really that was the first shot on target from Bayern Munich. The effort from Gnabry, 8 efforts in total. So look, they're keeping them at arm's length okay at the moment, the visitors, but it just feels like it's going to be a long evening for them if this pattern continues.
Yeah, you would wonder if Rui Borges would sign off on a point right now. Not that it's on offer.
I think he would. I think he'd shake on it.
229 completed passes by Bayern, 67 for Sporting. That gives you some indication as to the pattern of the game so far, but still goalless on the scoreboard, which is the important statistic. And the ball with Jonathan Tah. Worked out towards Serge Gnabry again down the left, but miscontrolled by Harry Kane. Not too often we say that. And Sporting will now have a free kick for the foul committed by Dayot Upamecano, and referee Nick Walsh will just want to have a little conversation with Upamecano, the French international.
Yeah, I think rightly so. It's a challenge from behind. There's nothing malicious about it. He'll be absolutely fine, Suarez, but it was interesting to see him follow Suarez all the way in there into the centre of their own half, Sporting. So yeah, they're very aggressive, the defenders. They will go man to man and follow you.
Suarez asking the referee where the card was, but non-forthcoming, at least for the moment, for Upamecano. Perhaps strangely for a player who's won 35 caps for France, has never actually played any of his domestic club football in his homeland.
It's a strange one, isn't it? Good player.
It sounds as though you have one or two reservations.
Yeah, I'm just not sure. I just feel that there's always a mistake in him, but they've got some good centre halves at this club, and he is first choice. Obviously, Kim's on the bench as well. Who's a decent player.
Yeah, that's Kim Min-jae, of course, the Korean Republic international, who's come in for a fair bit of stick from a certain Lothar Matthäus in the press. Not that I'm saying that's got anything to do with Vincent Kompany's team selection, but it would be human if he didn't hear it, I guess.
Yeah, I think he's his own man, Kompany. I mean, got to say, he's been impressive. Yeah, he did a great job at Burnley in the Championship. Okay, didn't have the players to play the football that he wanted in the Premier League, but to come here, no one really wanted him, if truth be told, I don't think, and he's just been brilliant.
Now, chance here for Sporting. Jenny Katamo has sprung the offside trap. Luis Suarez waits in the middle, and Manuel Neuer is forced into making the save. There was no offside flag, and Katamo was away down the right. It's a good chance, that, for Sporting.
It's a really good chance. Katamo puts it into the box, and it comes off Jonathan Tah, and he is saved by his goalkeeper there. That's a certain own goal, but for Neuer sticking up his hand at the right moment. That's heading into the top corner, and he makes a really good instinctive save there, Manuel Neuer, to keep the score 0-0.
Well, he could have been forgiven for reading the daily newspaper up until that point, Manuel Neuer, but that's the sign of a great goalkeeper, isn't it?
Yeah, concentration. Yeah, concentration was good. But Katamo is having some joy, isn't he? Down the right-hand side for Sporting, looks a good ball carrier, and that was just put into an area. You hope that Suarez gets on the end of it, but the fact that Tah on the stretch almost put it into his own net will give them great encouragement.
Jenny Katamo, the 37 times capped Mozambique international, born in Maputo. He's about to head off along with quite a few others, I dare say, in Champions League action this week to the African Cup of Nations, which starts in late December. So a few players going to be missing at least a couple of domestic league games, depending on how far they go in that tournament, of course. Here's Michael Olise down the right, level with the penalty area of Sporting Lisbon, but the cross is a disappointing one. And I think if Vincent Kompany has a complaint, their general play's been good, as we just watch again that chance for Sporting Lisbon. It's that all that territorial dominance, all those passes strung together, haven't yet really translated into enough work for Rui Silva between the posts for Sporting.
Yeah, no, he would agree with that assessment. Can they work some better combinations in and around the box, go for some little 1-2s just to break into the danger zone? It really, at the moment, it feels as if give it to Elise or Gnabry and let them make something happen. And they are making one or two things happen, but I think it's got to be more than that.
Not easy, of course, to play through a very rigid defence, and they're back in their shape again, Sporting, as by an attack down the right, Konrad Laimer forced to turn back out and find Joshua Kimmich, who gets through an awful lot of work in that Bayern midfield. Now it's with Alexander Pavlovic and Stanisic, and out to the left-hand side and Serge Gnabry. Half an hour played at the Allianz Arena. Listening to live commentary on Talksport 2, UEFA Champions League between Bayern Munich and Sporting Lisbon. Simon Hill and Adrian Clark, your commentators this evening. Little lifted ball inside the box. Konrad Laimer is onto it. A touch by Lennart Karl, and then Harry Kane with a little jab, futsal style towards the top corner. And Rui Silva plucks it out of the night sky.
That's a decent effort from Harry Kane. He's headed towards the top corner. It's Kimmich again. Finds Laimer inside the box. And there's a lovely little touch from Lennart Karl. It allows Harry Kane to hit the ball first time. And he's just clipped it towards the postage stamp in the top corner, but the goalkeeper was alive to it.
Sporting just resetting. The ball back with Osman Diomande. Again, just outside their own penalty area. Seem to have said that a lot so far tonight. We just got a glimpse on our screens of the Bayern Munich substitutes, and there's plenty of quality on that bench as well. The likes of Leon Goretzka, Nicholas Jackson, and the one we were talking about pre-game, Clarkey, there's Alphonso Davies, who's been out since March with that long-standing injury, but could well get some minutes tonight.
Yeah, and look, he's one of the quickest players I've ever seen in the flesh. I think he's rapid.
Just break off because Harry Kane has the ball on the edge of the penalty area, but that's broken up again. Jenny Katamo will try and break clear, and he's fouled by Alexander Pavlovic, and you can finish that point, Clark.
Yeah, I just feel that Alphonso Davies is an elite wide player, isn't he? An elite left back, and Stanisic is doing a decent enough job. But if you look at the full-backs for Bayern Munich, you'd probably say is that the area that they can improve on most. Laimer, converted midfielder, playing right back. Stanisic at left back. I think Alphonso Davies will improve Vincent Kompany's starting 11. There's no doubt about that.
And the interesting thing is, of course, that Joshua Kimmich was initially a right back. He's now playing in midfield. Konrad Laimer was a midfielder, and he's playing at right back. So go figure.
But I do think these modern managers now, they don't necessarily label players as having certain positions. They just look at Mikel Arteta at Arsenal. I mean, every player can play in 2 or 3 different positions. It's the way now, because they rotate the positions on the pitch so frequently, and Kompany absolutely loves that. I mean, if you watch their team closely, they are always switching positions, the players. It's really interesting.
And in a Bayern context, it worked all right for Philipp Lahm back in the day, didn't it?
Yeah, he wasn't bad.
Jenny Katamo just catching his opponent, Joshua Kimmich, who we were speaking about, which caused the Bayern midfielder a problem or two in terms of discomfort. Little scoop into the box by Michael Elise, but nobody alive to it in Bayern Munich's red. It's a Kompany plays ball boy as it goes out for a throw, and Bayern are quickly on with it, back on the ball, midway inside the Sporting Lisbon half of the fields. Move started off by Jonathan Tah, wide right it goes to Michael Elise, who's seen plenty of the ball in this first half as well, back with the former Crystal Palace winger. And now Lennart Karl takes over, but Sporting staying firm in their shape.
Defending well. I mean, they've actually conceded fewer shots on target than Bayern in the Champions League this season, so that shows you how robust they are without the ball.
That's a nicely disguised pass by Gnabry, and whipped in low and hard by Stanisic. And it goes again for a Bayern Munich throw-in. They'll attempt to keep up the pressure. Just over 10 minutes to go before the break, still goalless. Cross straight into the breadbasket of Rui Silva, the Sporting Lisbon goalkeeper. He has kept 7 clean sheets in 16 games, season 25-26. We've got a little shot of Rui Borges just maybe checking out the screen that's got all the tactics and the numbers being pumped into it every few seconds in front of him.
Well, yeah, they've got all the data, all the footage, haven't they? In the technical area these days, they don't miss a trick.
Here is João Simoas for Sporting, and on the left is Araujo. It's a dangerous ball across the face of the Bayern goal, and it needed that intervention from Josip Stanisic. It's going to be another corner for Sporting.
Well, yeah, Fresneda was there at the far post. This is a lovely, lovely cross along the face of goal. It skids along the 6-yard box, and Stanisic needs to make an intervention. Otherwise, that's a tap in for Fresneda at the far stick. They are definitely carrying menace here, Sporting, on the break.
They've forced themselves another corner, which looks like it's going to be whipped into the near post, where they've got a cluster of 4 players waiting. In fact, it goes towards the back post. There you go, there's the commentator's curse. And Luis Suarez nods it well wide in the end.
Yeah, but it wasn't convincingly defended, was it, as they get on with play really quickly, Bayern. But yeah, it was... for the second corner in succession, it's a black shirt that gets the first touch on the ball from a corner.
You fancy that's a bit of a weakness of...
Oh, it's definitely a weakness. It's definitely a weakness. But can Sporting get enough of them to make it count tonight? That's the big question.
Well, just 2 shots they've forced this evening, Sporting. Yet to have one on target. Of course, the one that did trouble Manuel Neuer came off Bayern defender. As for the Bavarians, they're into double figures in terms of shots, 3 of those on target. Yet to make the breakthrough, and no way forward for Konrad Laimer. Araujo trying to get something going down the left for Sporting. He's having to work really hard through traffic, and he's done well to find a teammate in the shape of Alisson Santos. But Bayern quickly back in possession is Harry Kane. Top of the box, trying to find an angle for the shot. It's Harry Kane, and he grazes it off the right-hand upright. It's the closest we've come to a goal so far, and the Englishman very nearly providing yet another Champions League highlight.
Oh, what a goal it would have been from Harry Kane. Twists and turns. He's in no hurry to take on the shot, and once he does, he just bends it beautifully towards that far corner. Unfortunately for him, it strikes the post.
Draws applause from his manager, Vincent Kompany. And I guess maybe part of the criticism in an attacking sense is that, as lovely to watch on the eye as they are, Bayern, maybe sometimes they overplay it a little bit, and Harry Kane perhaps there feeling like he had to take a bit of responsibility on his shoulders.
Yeah. I like the way that he held on to the ball and that he teased the defender. He's really comfortable in his own skin, isn't he, Harry Kane? Oh, that's good skill. Yeah,
great by Michael Olise to shrug off the attentions of Araujo. Bayern are on the move again. Joshua Kimmich trying to clip it towards the far left-hand side of the penalty area and reward the run of Josip Stanisic, who didn't quite have enough elevation on it. And Sporting get themselves a throw-in midway inside their own half.
Yeah, look, it's just awkward. They probably don't want as much of the ball as they're having here, Bayern. 70%. It's attack versus defence, and it's forcing them to sort of face against this low block, and it's not always easy to break those teams down. What I will say is that it's hard to criticise the way Bayern attack because they score so many goals. I mean, the game against Arsenal was the only game this season they've not scored at least 2. So they are rampant really most weeks. I mean, if there's a clean sheet at half time for the Portuguese, they'll be absolutely buzzing with that.
Yep. And we know that they're certainly not overawed on the Champions League stage. It's a lovely ball to pick out Fresneda on the right-hand side, and Sporting Lisbon looking to take what would be probably a shot lead as we head towards half-time. Just a fraction over 5 minutes to go before the break. We're listening to Bayern Munich against Sporting Lisbon in the Champions League, live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it, book now at enterprise.com. It is goalless at the moment. Simon Hill and Adrian Clark with you, calling all the action from the Allianz Arena, which has mainly been one-way traffic, but there's just been the odd moments where Sporting have tapped Bayern on the shoulder and said, hey, just a reminder, we are not just here to make up the numbers.
Yeah, well, you've got to. If you're going to have 30% of the ball, that means you're going to have to do a lot of defending, spend a lot of time out of possession chasing it. To relieve pressure, you've got to carry a threat. And actually they have. Sporting in this game, whenever they've had the opportunity to break at speed, usually via the wide men, they have made up ground and caused Bayern problems.
And all without those three key players as well. Trincao, Quenda and Gonçalves all watching this game on a TV screen somewhere back in Lisbon. Alisson Santos, well, that's a poor ball, looking to link up with Araujo down the left, but safe to say that was a little bit of miscommunication between the two.
Yeah, I think so, yeah, he just passed it straight out of play, didn't he? But yeah, look, they'll be delighted, but this is the key moment, isn't it, for them in the game? 4 minutes to the break. Can they keep this compact shape intact?
Big night of Champions League action on Talksport 2. That's a bad challenge from behind by it's Eduardo Quaresma. My apologies, I was about to put Ivan Fresneda in the dock, but it's Quaresma. That's a really ugly challenge, isn't it, on Stanisic?
I think that falls into the industrial category, yeah. Would you say?
Agricultural.
Yeah, I mean, he goes through his calf, doesn't he? It's one that actually he might have a sore calf at half-time. Stanisic there. That was reckless. Not much angle on this though. That's what I say for Kimmich. He's going to have to create a bit of magic here.
No yellow cards, I don't think, shown to Quaresma. Let's see what the free kick brings for Bayern. And the answer is not much, as it's sprayed out towards Elise. Still might turn into something. Elise towards the cross, and it's nodded well wide of the right-hand uprights in the end. And Sporting Lisbon's goal remains intact. The header by Josip Stanisic, well wide.
Yeah, well, we talked about the free kick being a bit straight. He basically just ignored everybody in the box, didn't he, Kimmich? He just pinged it to Elise on the touchline to change the angle. And it was a good ball in, and yeah, it comes off the head of Stanisic, but it never threatened that far corner, did it? But yeah, they're relentless, aren't they, in the way they keep piling on this pressure, Bayern Munich. But big chances, I'd say, have been hard to come by.
Tottenham Hotspur welcoming Slavia Prague to White Hart Lane in the Champions League later. That's live on Talksport 2 with Ian Dancer and Scott Minto. Stay tuned for that one. Here we're heading towards half-time. And Bayern still with plenty of the ball. Floated into the box by Kimmich. Steered away by Quaresma. And then ultimately thumped away towards halfway, where Luis Suarez will give forlorn chase all the way back to Manuel Neuer in the Bayern Munich goal, and he'll set them going again through Upamecano, and a bit of room in midfield for Alexander Pavlovich to advance into. And maybe that transition has to be quicker for Bayern. Here's Lennart Karl, twisting and turning. He's found his way through. It's a wonderful save by Rui Silva, but it's not clear yet for Sporting. And now they do hook it away thanks to their captain, Morten Hjulmand. But what a wonderful bit of skill from Lennart Karl. Here's Michael Elise, top of the penalty area. He looks to bend one, and it's well wide of the post in the end. But, wow, a moment of excitement from Lennart Karl that had all the fans on their feet.
Oh, this was truly exceptional from Lennart Karl and Rui Silva. The footwork is Messi-esque. He bamboozles the defence, and then he strikes it high towards the roof of the net, Lennart Karl, and it's a brilliant reflex save from the Sporting keeper. That was top class Champions League football, really was.
Well, at 17 years of age, you can only ponder what the next decade or so will bring for that young man.
He's going to be a player. He's going to be someone everybody knows about.
He is already.
Yeah.
Alisson Santos, meantime, as again Sporting just remind Bayern that they're still very much in the contest. 30 seconds of the regulation 45 minutes and the first half to go. Still 0-0. And the cross by Fresneda straight into the gloves of Manuel Neuer. He's just had that one save to make. It came off his own defender. And Bayern will probably feel that on balance of play they should be in front, and it's hard to argue with that view.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, but look, all of their 13 shots have only added up to 0.58 XG, so they haven't really created that many biggies. But I tell you what, Leonard Carl, if he's not in the Germany squad, they must have some team for the World Cup. I mean, yeah, but they have to find space for this kid. He's got magic in his boots, hasn't he? He can make things happen.
He's just got a kick at the moment as he went to try and retrieve the ball. He's back on his feet now, but a little bit gingerly. Sporting bring the ball forwards. They've got it through Ivan Fresneda as we tick over into one additional minute at the end of the first 45. Your assessment of this first half, Adrian?
Yeah, well, I've enjoyed it actually, even though we've had no goals. I think it's been a pretty good watch. We've seen some lovely football, haven't we, from Bayern? You know, there's so many silky attacking players. They've provided moments of great entertainment, but no goals. But for Sporting, I'm liking their shape. They're showing that they're compact, but they've also looked menacing on the counter, which is good for the game.
Well, there we go. That is half-time at the Allianz Arena, and it is goalless between Bayern Munich and Sporting Lisbon. Bayern with most of the chances. Manuel Neuer's had to make one save, but that was off his own defender. Leonard Carl has had one goal ruled out correctly, albeit tight for offside, and he's had one wonderful effort, brilliantly saved by Rui Silva. At the break, though, at Allianz Arena, it is Bayern Munich 0, Sporting Lisbon 0. So, Adrian, what do Bayern need to do to try and change things around in the second half? I mean, they've played pretty well, in all honesty, haven't they? But it's just been that little bit of cutting edge missing, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. It's drawing the five Sporting defenders out of position, isn't it? Can they fracture that really well organised defence? At the moment, a lot of it's been played out in front of them. They've relied on some really precise little clip passes from Kimmich, and they've relied on moments of individual sparkle, haven't they, from Elise, from Gnabry, and from Leonard Carl. So look, that will probably be enough, if I'm honest, to win the game. They should find a way. But yeah, I think Vincent Kompany will look at it and think, how can we tweak it? How can we stretch the Portuguese side out a little bit better in the second half? And
from Sporting's point of view, you've got to say that Rui Borges, at the moment, as things stand, he's got it bang on.
Yeah, I was delighted, isn't it? I just said, there's only one match they've failed to score at least twice by Munich. So to have that clean sheet intact at the break is great news for them. And I think that Rui Borges should be delighted with his players. He will also feel that they might be able to nick a goal here as well, because I think Suarez, and particularly down the right with Fresneda and Jenny Katamo, that they've got an outlet there that I think will create more opportunities for them to score.
OK, half-time then. Bayern Munich 0, Sporting Lisbon 0. We're going to take a quick break on the other side of it. We'll run through more of the highlights, and we'll have a preview of that Tottenham Hotspur Slavia Prague game in the Champions League at White Hart Lane later on today.
Champions League live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, we're here for it.
1 in 8 men will get prostate cancer, but all too often they find out by complete chance too late. It shouldn't be this way. With no early warning signs and no national screening program, we need your support. A donation to Prostate Cancer UK will help fund the research that will improve the odds of catching prostate cancer earlier, saving thousands of lives. It's about time men's lives weren't left to chance. Visit prostatecanceruk.org/give.
This Christmas, skip the socks and smellies. Get him something that actually delivers. His very own Skull Shaver. Engineered for speed, precision, and a smooth finish. Done in 90 seconds. No mess, no mirrors, no nicks. Except the saint dropping off the gifts. Shop the range and buy online at skullshaver.co.uk for Christmas and all the trimmings.
I'm Professor Huggington, and I like to When your kid's favourite toy starts to run out of battery power, no need to worry. Your new batteries are already on their way, arriving today with Amazon Prime. Everyday essentials delivered fast. It's on Prime.
I'm Professor Huggington, and I like to hug.
Cut-off times and T's and C's apply. See product page when ordering.
At Vodafone, you can save up to £1,032 with the Samsung Galaxy S25 FE when you trade in an eligible phone. And keep you and your family connected this Christmas. Hurry! Offer ends the 17th of December. So, go online or in-store today. Vodafone.
Save £576 on 5GB airtime over 36 months. £144 on phone and £312 with trade-in. Phone cost is £534. Credit and trade-in checks and terms apply. Financed by Vodafone.
Play Final One Standing by William Hill. It's free to play, with a new league kicking off every Premier League match week. Enter and make your first pick before the start of the first round, then pick a new team before each following round. You can only pick each team once, and if you're the final one standing, then the jackpot is yours. Final One Standing by William Hill. Football's ultimate elimination game. 18 plus, runs EPL season, one active league at a time unless prize £100,000 or more. Minimum prize £1,000. Prizes vary and apply to public leagues only. Prize split if all lose in the same round. Pay within 48 hours. Online, full T's and C's at williamhill.com. Play responsibly.
Talksport 2. Traffic and travel.
Major problems in South Lanarkshire for the M74. The motorway remains closed in both directions between junction 13 and 12 between the A74M and the Millbank turn-off as they're recovering a lorry that's overturned. It's really slow on the M18 northbound in South Yorkshire to junction 1 south of Doncaster for a police investigation. And on the M4 in Berkshire, long queues where 2 lanes are closed London-bound from junction 11 to 10 from Reading to Bracknell for emergency repair works at the carriageway after a car caught fire. I'm Johnny Ratner.
The ST50 on Talksport and Talksport 2.
Throughout December, unwrap 50 fantastic live football fixtures.
How big a goal is that?
You know what you're getting for Christmas on Talksport, don't you? Yes, live football.
Oh, what a goal!
The Talksport ST50. Jingle bells, jingle balls, jingle goals.
Oh, what about that?
On Talksport and Talksport 2.
Ho, ho, ho.
It's the reason Marconi invented radio and God gave you ears.
And he scored, it's a brilliant goal!
The Champions League live on Talksport 2.
Well, no Portuguese team has ever beaten Bayern Munich at home in 15 previous attempts. The ball bobbles around a little bit and the first goal arrives. Easy as you like. Lennart Carr with a finish, but offside. The goal will not stand. Harry Kane, top of the box, trying to find an angle for the shot. It's Harry Kane and he grazed it off the right-hand upright. It's the closest we've come to a goal so far. And the Englishman very nearly providing yet another Champions League highlight. Yes, so goalless at the break between Bayern Munich and Sporting Lisbon. This game brought to you in partnership with TNT Sports, the home of European football. And the live football on Talksport 2 continues straight after we're done, as we'll be heading to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium for more Champions League action. Spurs, of course, welcoming Slavia Prague to North London as Thomas Frank's team hope to get back to winning ways in the competition, while Slavia are still searching for their first win. Could they cause a shock tonight? Let's join our commentary team. We'll be bringing you all the action, as alongside the former Chelsea defender Scott Minto is your match commentator Ian Danter. Good evening, guys.
Evening to you, Simon. Thanks very much. Welcome to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Some of the Slavia Prague fans are already in position in the northeast corner opposite our commentary position, high up here at this beautifully purposed stadium. And whilst Scott Minto Spurs Premier League form at home in 2025 has been a bit shaky, they've got a chance here tonight to make a bit of history and keep clean sheets for 4 consecutive Champions League home games. So it may not be going that right domestically, but in Europe this has been a much happier hunting ground for Thomas Frank.
No, it has, Dance, and you're right. I don't think that's necessarily obviously the number one priority they'll be thinking about. They'll be thinking about trying to carry on the good home. I say good home form. I don't think actually they've played, but they didn't play particularly well against Villarreal. Obviously they lost against PSG, but there were positives as well. Bodo Glimt away from home, I thought they were a tad lucky, and also Monaco. So the results at home are 100%, and that's the ultimate most important thing. And you know, they're up against the Slavia Prague side that may be top of their domestic table, but just 3 points so far, and I'd be surprised if they even get into the playoffs. So this is a wonderful opportunity for them, as you say, keep a clean sheet, but also just build on, for me, actually, what happened at the weekend, where the home form in the Premier League hasn't been good. I think the fans realise that you need to get behind the team here and just try and support them a little bit more, as entitled as they are to basically act how they want. But I thought it was a lot better at the weekend, so they want to continue on that, I think.
Interesting that Matthijs Tel has been brought into the Tottenham squad as a replacement because of the injury issues that Thomas Frank has got. No Solanke, no Kulusevski, no Maddison. So they are allowed to bring in a supplementary player. It's funny, on the night that Son Heung-min returns to say a nice farewell, I bet the Spurs fan thinking, can't we just register him? Instead, nothing against Matthijs Tel, but someone who scored 137 goals for us. Can't we just have him, please, for a night?
Do you know what? I bet he's still fit as anything as well. One could still do a job.
He's scoring bags of goals for LAFC.
Exactly, and do a job here in the Champions League and perhaps even in the Premier League as well. Look, a Spurs legend, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, the bottom line, it's been a tough time for Thomas Frank coming in as Spurs boss, and there's been a few unkind calls of, is he just a Brentford boss and he's not quite ready to make the step up. I don't agree with that. I think it's a massive turnaround that this club needs. And yes, they won the Europa League, which can shut people up for a few years, actually, not just one. The fact that they have won a major trophy. It wasn't a strong Europa League last season by any stretch of the imagination, and it was a really poor final, to be fair, and they were the least worst of the two. But the bottom line is, all you can do is try and win the competition. They did that. In terms of the league and Champions League, it's a massive step up. So again, I say, great opportunity tonight.
And after this game, Simon, they've got games against tough German opposition in Borussia Dortmund here, and then away at Eintracht Frankfurt. So you sense that 3 points would be rather handy here tonight, just to cement a place in the qualification spots in the mega table. We'll be on air once you're done with the Bayern Munich Sporting game here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. 8 o'clock kickoff, Tottenham Hotspur against Slavia Prague.
Yeah, thanks very much indeed, Dan. Ian Danta and Scott Minto at White Hart Lane tonight for Tottenham against Slavia Prague. That's our next game on Talksport 2. Whilst over on Talksport this evening, a fascinating match in Italy as well, as Inter welcome Liverpool. That's from 8 o'clock. This match has been overshadowed, of course, by the big Mo Salah story, his exclusion from the Red squad after those post-game comments about the club and his manager on Saturday. And this is what Arne Slot has had to say regarding that particular situation.
He has the right to feel how he feels things. I haven't felt that at all till Saturday evening, for sure, because I think when I didn't play him anymore, usually players don't like the manager then that much, but he was very respectful to my staff members, to his teammates, and he trained really hard. So to an extent, it was a surprise for me that when I heard after the game that he gave the comments he gave. But as I said, it's not the first and not the last time that when a player doesn't play, he I'm not sure if he was emotional or not, but that he says something something similar to what he did. But I think my reaction to that is also clear, and that's that he's not here with us tonight. I think we as a team struggled this season and already last season more and more with the game plans other teams have against us. So I'm not only talking about the long ball style, which is something team mainly do against us now. So I've tried to come up with solutions because this is my job, and we've tried many things. We looked very vulnerable, in my opinion, after all the things I've tried against Forest and against PSV. And then I decided to play with an extra midfielder in the game against West Ham, where we won the game. So I decided to do it one more time against Sunderland, where at half-time I brought him in. And against Leeds we faced a 5-3-2, where I've decided to play a 4-4-2 diamond, if you want to look at it like this, with Hugo Ekitike a bit off the right side and Cody Gakpo a bit off the left, with Florian Wirtz in between. And I could have played Mo as well off the right instead of Hugo, but I decided to play Hugo.
Yeah, very interesting comments by Arne Slot. That's Inter, of course, reached the final last year against Liverpool in the Champions League. That's live on Talksport, presented by Adrian Durham tonight at 8. Commentary from Jim Proudfoot and the former England captain Stuart Pearce. They're just about to come back out, the two teams from the dressing rooms here at the Allianz Arena. Goalless between Bayern Munich and Sporting Lisbon at the break. You're listening to the Champions League live on Talksport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk. Not just the Champions League tonight, of course, on Talksport and Talksport 2. Got plenty of action to come the rest of the week. Tomorrow, 8 o'clock, it's Leverkusen against Newcastle in the Champions League. That game is on Talksport. Commentary from Jim Proudfoot. He's having a busy week, isn't he, Jim? And former Newcastle manager Alan Pardew. Also at 8 o'clock on Talksport 2, it's Club Brugge against Arsenal. Commentary there from Alex Crook and the former Arsenal winger Perry Groves. Then on Thursday, that's the 11th of December, 5:45, we're into Europa League action on Talksport 2 for Utrecht of the Netherlands against Nottingham Forest. Adam Bridge and former Chelsea defender Scott Minto are your commentators for that one. Then at 8 o'clock, it's Basel against Aston Villa, also in the Europa League on Talksport, presented by Natalie Sawyer. Alex Crook and former England women's striker Leanne Sanderson are your commentary duo there. And then at 8 o'clock on Talksport 2, Shelbourne against Crystal Palace in the Conference League. Commentary from Kevin Hatchard and former Crystal Palace midfielder Darren Ambrose. And looking ahead to the weekend's domestic action on Friday, 2000 hours, that's 8 o'clock of course, West Brom against Sheffield United in the Championship. Talksport 2 exclusive, presented by Hugh Wozencroft. Commentary from Joe Shannon and former Leicester winger Mark Albrighton on that game from the Championship. Well, Adrian Clark is with me, Simon Hill for the second half. Looks as though Sporting might be about to make a change in the second half, but overall, Adrian, you'd say that Rui Borges would be delighted with the way his team performed in the first half.
100%, yeah. Look, if he could shake on a draw now, he would. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, he'll be proud of the way that his players kept their shape, kept their focus, because it was wave after wave of pressure from Bayern Munich. But Bayern didn't have a great deal of penetration in their play, very reliant on pieces of individual magic. And we did see, a nice sprinkling of magical moments from them. But ultimately, it didn't result in a goal. So there's work to be done here.
Well, I think I might have been mistaken about the substitution. Maybe just a player doing the usual praying on the sidelines before they come on. We see a fair bit of that these days, don't we? So, as you were for both teams, as we await kick-off for the second half. Earlier on today, Kairats of Kazakhstan were beaten 1-0 at home by Olympiakos. Gelson Martins with the only goal in that game. There's a whole raft of other matches in this competition, but here at Allianz Arena, it is Bayern Munich 0, Sporting Lisbon 0. And Sporting in the all-black tonight, trying to launch the ball forward, but immediately broken up by Bayern. And Harry Kane on the ball, threading it through for Serge Gnabry, but he was off balance as he looked to square it up for a teammate. And maybe a little lucky escape there at the start of the second half for Sporting.
Yeah, it just looks like they've come out with a little bit, I don't know if there's a flea in their ear, but they're coming out at a higher tempo, Bayern Munich. And I think that was the only thing they really could change. It was like, can we speed it up a little bit? Can we play with a bit more purpose and intensity? And I would imagine that would be the aim for the German champions here.
Well, particularly when you're playing against such a packed defence, it's sort of imperative, isn't it, to move the ball quicker, to try and play through those solid defensive lines. The Bayern fans, by the way, have lit a whole row of, I assume, are either flares or fireworks, which has completely illuminated the end behind Manuel Neuer's goal.
Well, yeah, there are hundreds of fans there that are pretty warm right now, stood right behind or underneath those flares. But it looked pretty spectacular, didn't it?
Yeah, it sure did. Maybe to ward off Sporting, who are attacking that end of the ground. Bayern Munich, who've scored 76 goals so far in their 22 matches, are yet to break through here. And a little slip just in their own half of the field has coughed possession over it. Sporting Lisbon with a chance here, a shot that flies across the face of goal from Alisson Santos. Manuel Neuer, in fairness, never really looked as though he was too worried, but Just for a second there, I think his teammates were.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a slip, wasn't it? I think from Pavlovic inside his own half. That allowed them to pick up the turnover, and they worked it really nicely. I think it was Catamo into Alisson Santos. He dragged his shot, in truth, well wide in the end. But yeah, that's where we're at, aren't we? One mistake, and Bayern, for all of their domination, could easily go behind.
Well, Sporting's results in this year's Champions League, they easily accounted for Bruges by 3-0. That 1-1 draw against Juventus, away from home as well. They defeated Marseille at home by 2-1, beat Kairat of Kazakhstan 4-1, and the 2-1 loss to Napoli, their only reverse so far. They are in the qualification spots at the moment, the automatic spots, albeit in the last available position, in 8th at the moment. As smoke hangs heavy across the air, those flares have now gone out, but they've left their residue, Adrian.
They have, yeah. We can still just about see the numbers on the backs of the shirts. But yeah, look, it's a really interesting 45 minutes here. How ambitious will Sporting be? They will feel if they're going to get anything out of this game, they will have to score. Bayern haven't blanked all season. You wouldn't expect them to here, but there's a balance to be struck for the visitors, isn't there, of course?
Yeah, and I think they've got that balance just about right so far, but you're right. Do they have a goal in them? Well, Luis Suarez is certainly capable of providing one. He's got 12 all season in all competitions. He is their top goal scorer, but shorn of 2 or 3 of his main supporting cast today. The likes of Gonçalves, Quenda and Trincao, all left back in Lisbon. As Bayern shift the ball out towards Serge Gnabry on the left-hand side again. They push and probe and try and move Sporting around. It's back with Jonathan Tah. Little ball forwards. Again returned back by Stanisic. Now with Upamecano. As we peer through the gloom, the smoke has now come to rest almost pitch side. And maybe Bayern can make use of that temporary gloom. We can hardly see the player in possession on the far side of the field now. The smoke is so thick.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? I didn't think you were allowed to take players into football stadiums, but yeah, I think they've turned a blind eye tonight.
Yeah. Well, whilst we've got this little bit of gloom, let's cross back to White Hart Lane and get the team news for Spurs against Slavia with Ian Danta. Ian.
A couple of changes for Tottenham tonight. Joao Palhinha comes into central midfield for Rodrigo Bentancur, and Wilson Odobert is preferred to Randal Kolo Muani as part of the front four. Those are the only 2 changes then Thomas Frank has made after the 2-0 win against Brentford here. So a chance for back-to-back wins for Spurs. Quickly the lineup: Vicario in goal, Porro, Romero, Van der Ven, Spence, Palhinha and Gray, Kudus, Simons and Odobert behind Richarlison. We're live straight after you. It is Tottenham Hotspur against Slavia Prague.
Thanks very much, Dance. Looking forward to that one. Here you've missed nothing. It's still goalless between Bayern Munich and Sporting Lisbon. 5 minutes of the second half played, and nothing really to get much excited about from a Bayern Munich perspective. Sporting Lisbon did have one sort of half chance, Adrian, but nothing to overly worry Manuel Neuer.
No, look, he's only been forced into action once, and it was a really good save to prevent the own goal from Jonathan Tah. So yeah, as much as we're praising Sporting and the threat that they're carrying, they haven't carved out a shot on target themselves yet.
Just on those flares, the residue of which is still hanging over the field of play. Pretty thick smoke it is too. I think you're right. I think the flares are technically illegal. I was actually in France at the weekend for Lille against Marseille on Friday night, and the fans did the same thing there, and they had the roof closed. And the referee actually stopped the game for 5 minutes because you literally couldn't see the players on the field.
Yeah.
And they probably couldn't see each other.
No, well, there's nowhere for it to escape, is there? So yeah, that's absolutely crazy. Look, I think it should clear within the next few minutes, but it's not easy to see the players on the far side of the pitch at the moment.
Yeah, it's a pretty still night in Munich. Cold, but not much wind around, which obviously helps to disperse the smoke. But for the moment, it's hanging around, and Bayern in possession of the ball centrally through their talented teenager, Lennart Karl. And it's moved out towards the right-hand side. Michael Olise back with Karl. driven back towards the halfway line, and a rather cheap turnover by the 17-year-old straight at Jenny Katamo, who's impressed in little spells tonight. He's bundled off the ball, and there's no foul, no referee's whistle, and we're back to that familiar pattern of play. Bayern Munich pushing, probing, but as yet not really able to blow the Sporting house down.
No, absolutely. Yeah, Human there with a nice interception. He's got a big role to play, hasn't he? Especially when Kane drops into midfield. Can the Sporting skipper just shield the service into him?
Here's Harry Kane, going to have a go. Well, somebody has to. He's dragged that one well wide of the goal. But maybe not a bad tactic against such a packed defence. If you don't shoot, you don't score. You don't buy a ticket, you can't win the lottery.
Absolutely. Well, he's bought a few tickets tonight, Harry Kane. I think that's shot number 6 for him. And look, he's come close. There's one effort that was really, really well saved, of course. But yeah, look, I would say that, you know, if he can get another couple of shots away, surely he will find the back of the net, because not many times he would go 8 and 9 shots without scoring.
Well, certainly no panic from Vincent Kompany as yet. There might be in a minute, though, because away comes Sport against Morten Hjulmand, who's pushing forwards. And João Simoes with the cross, it's gone in! It might be an own goal. But Sporting Lisbon have taken a shock lead at the Allianz Arena. It was João Simoes who danced his way through down the left-hand side. Vincent Kompany looks solemnly towards the scoreboard. The final touch, I think, has come off Joshua Kimmich. And how about this for a scoreline? It's Bayern Munich 0, Sporting Lisbon 1.
Incredible. It's a brilliant breakaway from João Simoes. He dances away from Jonathan Tah, squares it along the 6-yard box, and in his desperation to make an intervention there, Joshua Kimmich stabs the ball past his own goalkeeper, and all of a sudden we have a major shock on our hands.
Well, you asked the question, Adrian, can they find a goal from somewhere? That's the answer. They have a little breakaway down the left, and you've got to give all the credit to João Simoes, who was nice and positive and headed for the byline, and the cross was a dangerous one, and Joshua Kimmich could do nothing but turn the ball past his own goalkeeper.
Yeah, it was great skill from João Simoes. It really was. They created a 3v2 a little bit too easily, but there's still work to be done. But he drops a shoulder and he leaves him on the deck, Jonathan Tah, and then he just basically puts it into the right area, across the face of goal. Can someone get a touch on it? And somebody did, and you know, Sporting now can, I mean, there's a long way to go in this game. They won't be getting ahead of themselves, but you know, they can make a bit of history here tonight.
I'll tell you what, Arsenal fans will be having a wry smile. It's Joshua Kimmich scoring an own goal after his comments about their style of football in the last Champions League game.
I was surprised at that, I must admit. It was a little bit sour grapey, wasn't it, from Kimmich? And actually, not strictly accurate either, I wouldn't have suggested. So, yeah, a bit calmer there, maybe.
Well, I wonder how long it is since Bayern Munich lost back-to-back games in the UEFA Champions League, because that's the scenario at the moment. There's still a long way to go, of course.
Yeah, I think it's unlikely that the Sporting will hold on here, but you know, if they do, it'll be a famous result.
They've given themselves a platform to do that. Harry Kane on the edge of the Sporting penalty area, where Bayern have spent an awful lot of time, really struggled to create clear-cut scoring opportunities. Michael Olise has tracked back to dispossess Alisson Santos at the expense of a throw-in. And for the visitors now, they've got something to hold on to. They've got something to defend, haven't they? Interesting to see. I mean, their approach has been pretty defensive anyway, but whether that makes them retreat even further back into their shell.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it initially, does it? I think they've got the balance right. We talked about it earlier. Yes, they've been pragmatic and they've concentrated on keeping their shape solid, but when there have been opportunities to keep hold of the ball and to get men forward, they've done that. And you know, all credit to them for it. And that's why they find themselves in front, because they have had ambition. I don't think they should stop showing ambition and literally park the bus, because I think that could be asking for trouble.
A reminder that no Portuguese team has ever beaten Bayern Munich at home in the Champions League. 15 attempts, 13 defeats, 2 draws. But Sporting Lisbon have a priceless advantage here. Can they hold on to it? Bayern Munich in possession, midway inside the Sporting Lisbon half. Little prod forward by Upamecano. Joshua Kimmich takes over, desperate no doubt to atone for his own goal. The switch of play to bring in Josip Stanisic, who then finds Serge Gnabry, who runs towards the penalty area. Stanisic with the back heel looking to return the ball to Gnabry. Couldn't quite find its range, but it's a throw-in for Bayern.
Better though, because it's a combination between 2 players. Too often they've given it to a winger and said, go and do something. Where are the overlaps? Where's the interplay? And at least on that occasion they did that.
Yeah, you made that point in the first half, that they were a little bit over-reliant on individuals to sort of create that little bit of spark rather than consistent patterns of play.
Having a runner that distracts a defender is really, really important. And I don't think they've pushed themselves hard enough tonight, Bayern Munich, to make those unselfish runs. Whether you get the pass or not, it doesn't really matter. You've got to make them. It feels to me, I've got to be honest, thinking about the first hour or so of this game, Bayern Munich are trying to win this at half pace. There's got to be more to come.
You're listening to Bayern Munich against Sporting Lisbon in the Champions League, live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, they're here for it as the ball goes into the box, the Sporting Lisbon box that is. It's only partly away, retrieved by Stanisic. Serge Gnabry now, little touch to bring in Jonathan Tah, and then back out they come. This has been the pattern for a lot of this game so far. Bayern with the lion's share of possession. Michael Olise on the right-hand side now skips past one defender. Then he too has to turn back. And the Sporting defence, virtually everybody behind the ball, remains solid for the moment. Olise's flick. And Kimmich at least gets one on target and forces a bit of work out of the goalkeeper, Rui Silva, but it's a comfortable save.
Yeah, it's a high degree of difficulty there. 25 yards out. He gets sort of stuck under his foot and he just drills it straight, but it's straight down the goalkeeper's throat. He just has to go on his tiptoes to gather that, and no real danger. And that's their 4th shot on target, but in terms of big chances, not that many.
Here's another one coming up for Lennart Karl, and again that's straight at Rui Silva. But maybe just a warning sign or two for Sporting. They were very quick to turn the ball over, even probably quicker than usual than they've been in this game. Yeah. And it led to an opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they're going to have to be careful. You know, they're going to have to get about Sporting and look to steal the ball in advanced areas. You can see they're hunting in packs with a bit more aggression at the moment, the home side, which is understandable. Probably should have done this a little bit earlier. But yeah, they can't get too deep, can they? We've seen a couple of shots now, or 2 or 3 in the second half from range. So if you get too deep, that does invite teams to have a crack from in and around the D. And sooner or later, they might score from one.
Bayern have had 16 shots. Sporting yet to register one on target, and yet they lead 1-0. Sometimes that's the way football goes. Here's Stanisic, left-hand side of the Sporting penalty area. Serge Gnabry. Little flick for Stanisic, who'd made a run beyond, but the offside flag goes up. Stanisic had clearly gone just a second or two too early. And respite for Sporting, who no doubt will take all the time they can over the free kick.
Yeah, no, it's their right to. Yeah, it was a bit sloppy really from Stanisic. It was a good run, but I think he knew he'd be wandering into an offside position. Perhaps he was expecting the pass earlier from Serge Gnabry. But yeah, look, just credit again to Rui Borges, the head coach of Sporting. He's a guy that's filling the boots of Ruben Amorim. It was so successful. He's made it his team. There's a different style of play now, a different striker leading the line, but they remain really competitive, don't they, against elite European opposition. It's great. It's a great effort.
And they're seeking to create history tonight. First Portuguese team, perhaps ever to win against Bayern Munich on their own turf. And Mateus Reyes sets them going for another attack. But João Samoa's across the face. I thought it was Alisson Santos, my mistake, and easily gathered by Manuel Neuer. And there's going to be a change shortly for Sporting, and perhaps you won't be surprised to hear that they're going to turn to a defender off the bench, Ricardo Mangas.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they can sort of smell it now, can't they? I mean, there's still an awful long way to go, but yeah, it's understandable if Rui Borges wants to be a little bit defensive with his decision making. Let's see what they do.
Big story brewing at the Allianz Arena. Bayern Munich 0, Sporting Lisbon 1. 62 and a half minutes played. And I guess the scoreline also poses our next question. We'll just watch this because Jenny Katamo has been good tonight in spells down the right-hand side. Looking to attack Josip Stanisic. He plays it back to teammate Eduardo Quaresma. And Samoa's a little spell in possession will be music to the ears of their coach, Rui Borges. Now they work it out to the left-hand side. Michael Olise being teased by Alisson Santos, and he's managed to find a little metre of space for the cross, and he then opted to try and turn back inside Michael Olise when really the cross was on. And he should have tried to tee up a chance for a teammate. Instead it's with Katamo down the right. Back to that question, which is this, Adrian Clark. Given Bayern Munich's domestic dominance, is that tricky for them when it then comes to the Champions League? I mean, they beat Stuttgart 5-0 away from home with ease at the weekend, with half their regulars out. I think I posed the question pre-game to you as well, but I think it's worth revisiting in the light of this scoreline.
Yeah, look, you could make an argument for it. They're not tested enough domestically, so when they come up against really strong opposition in Europe, it's going to be a little bit of a shock to the system, I guess. But at the same breath, you know, in a long, hard season, they have more opportunities than a Premier League team to rest and rotate, don't they? They're star players, so it works both ways.
Here's Konrad Laimer, still plenty of time to go in this game, of course. And they've got a corner off Mateus Reis. Sporting Lisbon just holding fire for the moment on that change. Ricardo Mangas being readied. Set pieces may be the way through for Bayern. I can't remember them having too many corners in the second half, but they've got one here. It goes towards the back post, and there's Serge Gnabry on the volley. They were all attracted to the near post, the Sporting Lisbon defenders. Gnabry left totally unmarked, and he couldn't miss from there. Bayern Munich 1, Sporting Lisbon 1 with 25 minutes to go.
Game on. This is terrible defending from Sporting. They've worked so hard to put themselves in a position to claim a famous win, and then from a straightforward far post corner, they all get attracted to the ball. They ignore Serge Gnabry in the far post, who goes in unmarked on the volley. It's a really crisp side footer 5 yards out, but where on earth is the marking?
Well, you've got to say that they switched off for a crucial moment there, and Gnabry had the easiest of opportunities at the back post to score his first goal of the season in the Champions League.
Yeah, Harry Kane should get an assist for that, by the way.
Yeah, because he's holding off the defender, isn't he?
Yeah. So he's the one stationed in front of Gnabry, and the defender wants to go and get closer to the player who scores. He can't get around Harry Kane. So is that, as much as you can be critical of the setup, and I think that's fair, it was also really smart play from Kane. Really smart to be that blocker.
I know we see that 100 times in a game of football per match, but should VAR look at that perhaps? Because he is ushering the defender away. Whether you'd view it as legal or not, here's another chance for Bayern Brewing, but Michael Olise has turned the ball over.
Look, he needs to, in the next 2 or 3 years, they might look at that. The lawmakers, we'll see.
Anyway, Bayern don't care. They are level, courtesy of Serge Gnabry. First goal of the Champions League this season, but he's 5th in all competitions. And now the task has just got that little bit stiffer for Sporting Lisbon, because Bayern have got their tails up. They found a way through. Michael Olise now popping up on the left-hand side, keeping the Sporting defence guessing. He crosses though with the right peg. It's up in the air but not away yet by Diomandi. And now it will be ultimately by Fresneda. And Luis Suarez, who's not been cited much today, has briefly got the better of Jonathan Tah, but he left the ball behind rather unfortunately. It just sort of spun away from him, didn't it?
It was good play initially to control it and hold the ball up. He looks a good all-round centre forward to me. He's got a bit about him, Luis Suarez, but this is a horrible evening for him. So isolated.
And Carl trying to bustle his way through 4 or 5 different defenders. The Sporting Lisbon team packing that defence, which of course they're going to have to do for the next 20 odd minutes if they're to leave the Allianz Arena with a point or better. This is Morten Hjulmand in midfield, their captain. Very good player who's attracting a bit of interest from overseas as well.
Well, I'll tell you what, João Simoes will soon be attracting interest as well. That assist was terrific, and his all-round performance for an 18-year-old here at the Allianz Arena has been so mature. You know, he's looked after the ball. He's not dropped the ball once, has he, really, in terms of making a mistake? He looks a really calm player. 18, but already a Portuguese under-21 international. So, yeah, someone that I think we might be hearing plenty more about in the years to come as well.
Yep, agreed. Came through the Portimonense Youth Academy before signing for Sporting in 2018 when he was barely into his teens, really. This is Lima lifting the ball in towards Lennart Karl in the box. It's 2-1 in the blink of an eye. And the 17-year-old who had one ruled out for offside in the first half is not going to be denied this time. And Bayern Munich have turned it around in the space of 3 or 4 second half minutes. It's Bayern Munich 2, Sporting Lisbon 1.
Wow, how quickly things can change. And what a tidy finish it is from Lennart Karl. This kid is a cool customer. Was there a foul? I think there was a foul on Luis Suarez in the build-up to this, but he makes a great run into the box. The first touch is absolutely exquisite from the teenager, and then right-footed, he has to hook it back across the face of goal, and it catches the goalkeeper off guard. It's a really good volley from the teenager, and Bayern's class has told.
And I think it's the fact that he takes that shot on early that really gives Rui Silva no chance.
Yeah, he's not
that and the pace, obviously.
Yeah, he's not expecting it because the touch takes him away from goal, but he's got the presence of mind to just angle his foot and hook it across the face of goal. It's a really difficult finish, but he made it look easy.
And I'm with you, Adrian. There has to be a question mark as to whether there was a foul in the build-up, and VAR, of course, do check all these things. And the referee is just saying, hang on a minute, we're not going to have the kick-off, and now something has sparked a bit of shirt fronting. Morten Hjulmand, the captain of Sporting Lisbon, involved. 1 or 2 others. Diomandi has taken up the battle, and Joshua Kimmich has been issued with a yellow card for his part in this little melee. And I think Hjulmand as well. And the referee, Nick Walsh of Scotland, has a bit of sorting out to do, Adrian Clark.
Yeah, good luck with this one. It's all getting a little bit feisty. Now, are they going to give this goal or not? We still don't know. We haven't kicked off. I think Luis Suarez is still raging because he feels, for me, they had both arms around him. You know, they've given the goal. They're lucky to get away with it, Bayern Munich. Could easily have been given a foul there.
And Joshua Kimmich goes into the book. Morten Hjulmand as well. And he will miss Sporting Lisbon's next game in the Champions League because of that booking. And that's a big absence for them, with only a couple of games left in the league stage. And appeals for handball as the ball ricocheted onto the arm of a Sporting Lisbon player inside the penalty area. There were 1 or 2 little half shouts, a bit more than that from the crowd, as you'd expect.
Yeah, well, it's livened up, hasn't it? Second half.
Here's Lennart Karl again, trying to bludgeon his way through, but he's not really big enough to do that. And it's all getting a little physical and a little ill-tempered out there.
It is, but it's good for the atmosphere. You know, there's a lot of fans here tonight. They're probably a little bit like the team thought, we just got to turn up and we'll see a win. Well, this has been a really tough game for Bayern Munich, and you know, they've found a way, haven't they, to get back into it, and all of a sudden, you know, this has got a really competitive edge to it, and it's good to see, because I don't think Bayern fans can presume that this is done and dusted.
Bayern Munich 2, Sporting Lisbon 1, 18 minutes of the 90 remaining. Tottenham and Slavia Prague to come later on Talksport 2 with Ian Danter and Scott Minto. And that's second goal for Bayern, by the way, the 200th conceded in the UEFA Champions League by Sporting Lisbon. Their long and storied history in this competition. They took part in the very first Champions League, well, European Cup as it was known, as Serge Gnabry tries to ghost his way past Ivan Fresneda and earns a corner for Bayern Munich.
Yeah, great goal. Really, really good goal, wasn't it? Nice pass, you have to say, from Lima. Just having a look here.
This is what sparked a little furore. Luis Suarez throwing the ball to Joshua Kimmich, and Kimmich then angrily going, placing the ball back on the centre spot for the restart.
Yeah.
I think the intimation from Sporting was, well, this one's going to be ruled out. We're just watching a replay of that shout for handball. It certainly did strike the hand of Mateus Reyes, but it was from point-blank range. Just a rebound, really.
No, you shouldn't be given penalties for that, but UEFA are very strict on the handball law, we know that.
The upshot is a corner for Bayern Munich, who now have the advantage. Joshua Kimmich to strike in the set piece, which is cleared at the near post by the Sporting Lisbon defenders. Now it's with Michael Olise. Gets it back via a little back heel from Stanisic. Lifted into the box by Lennart Karl, and the header was on target from Dayot Upamecano. Needed saving by Rui Silva, a comfortable one in the end though.
Yeah, I think that's the 8th shot on target now for Bayern Munich. They're racking them up. It's a good header actually. He climbs high at the far stick. It's a teasing delivery from Lennart Karl, who he hasn't been perfect tonight, but you think about it, you know, the disallowed goal, the twinkle-toed piece of magic that forced a great save, and then he also scores. You know, it has to go down as an outstanding individual display from someone so young.
Well, he's there in the big moments, isn't he? Which is what you want from your creative players, your attacking players. And given his very tender age, 17, goodness me, what a talent.
Yeah, if he's fit, he will go to the World Cup finals. I'm convinced of it. Has to.
And you rightly said he's with a massive club in Germany, but I tell you what, if you're an English Premier League outfit, with all the money the Premier League clubs have got, you might be sharpening your pen on that checkbook.
One day, yeah, I'm sure he'll end up in the Premier League, a bit like Florian Wirtz.
Yeah, I reckon the answer at the moment, though, will be no, or 9, and thrice 9 from Bayern.
Definitely. Well, they wanted Wirtz, didn't they? And,
yes.
But the fact that they didn't get him has actually created a pathway for this young boy to be given the opportunity, and he's taken it.
Yeah, at the moment, looks like they got the better end of the deal. But that may change, of course, in the coming months as Bayern win another free kick midway inside the Sporting half, and they're going to make a change here. And we're going to see Lennart Karl's departure, and he gets a great hand from the assembled throng, and rightly so. His goal at the moment, Adrian Clark, is the match winner.
It is, yeah. Wonderful performance from the youngster. You know, he has got so much talent. I think his shot might have taken a slight deflection on its way in, but it was still a really good finish. And the ovation is something to behold, isn't it? They are going to love watching this boy for the next few years.
And on in his place comes Rafael Guerreiro, who Portuguese fans know all about, 65 times capped by their particular national team. And Benfica said to be keen on signing him. He was a supporter of them as a boy, so he'll want to do well against their great rival Sporting Lisbon. It's the first change of the match as the Bayern set pieces work towards Serge Gnabry, and it's 3-1. It's Jonathan Tah who arrived late in the penalty area. Nobody tracking his run either. Again, woefully defended by Sporting Lisbon. And you'd fancy with nearly 77 minutes gone now, that is game over. It's Bayern Munich 3, Sporting Lisbon 1.
Well, they just score goals for fun. Bayern Munich, they are machines. They never panicked. At 1-0 down, they back themselves. It's another set piece. This time again, it's a player left free at the far post. It is Gnabry again. This time he can't shoot. But from Kimmich's cross, he nods the ball back really cleverly into the danger zone. And Jonathan Attar on the volley scuffs it in. The marking, once again, very, very shoddy from Sporting, and they've paid a heavy price for it.
Well, he's an unfamiliar goal scorer. 43 caps for Germany. He's never scored for the national team. Only got his first Bayern goal against Werder Bremen in September. Only 18 in over 400 games for Bayer Leverkusen. Dio Upamecano, his central defensive partner, was actually in an offside position as Kimmich played that ball over, and I did just wonder whether he might be accused of interfering with play, but clearly VAR have had a look at that and said no. You are listening to Bayern Munich against Sporting Lisbon in the Champions League live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, they are here for it. And we've got about 12 minutes plus stoppages to go, and it's Bayern Munich 3, Sporting Lisbon 1. Simon Hill and Adrian Clark with you. Ian Danter and Scott Minto to come later with Spurs against Slavia Prague. And Adrian, it looks difficult to see a way back now for Sporting.
Yeah, there's no way back now, I don't think. Yeah, this is going to be a tough final 12 minutes for them.
Michael Olise trying to pick his way through the defence. It breaks here for Konrad Laimer. Behind him is Joshua Kimmich. It breaks for Harry Kane. Slight miscue by England's number 9. He'll want to get in on the scoring act as well. Sporting, at the moment, look like a drunk boxer who's on the canvas.
Yeah, they worked so hard, I guess, to put themselves in that great position, and they've just run out of gas, haven't they, and lost concentration at key moments.
And the space is starting to appear. Harry Kane on the ball. Wide left it goes for Josip Stanisic. Back into midfield for Alexander Pavlovic, and then Joshua Kimmich exchanging passes with the newly arrived Rafael Guerreiro. Bit of space out wide left for Serge Gnabry, who's got a goal and an assist tonight, and he goes for a second. Not too far away, just a couple of metres wide of that left-hand upright.
Yeah, look, he's a nightmare to contain, isn't he? When he drops his shoulder and comes in on that right foot, he's really dangerous. 21 shots now for Bayern Munich. Sporting just the 3. So you have to say they do deserve the lead.
A couple of changes coming here for Sporting Lisbon. The impressive Jenny Katamo is one of those to make way, and we are going to see the arrival of one of Sporting's talented youngsters, Eduardo Felicissimo, just 18 years of age, another Portuguese under-19 international, along with the arrival of the rather more experienced Fotis Giannidis, 21 full caps for Greece. Those are the changes for Sporting Lisbon. Eduardo Quaresma, the other man to go off. So Rui Borges making another move off the bench. The question is it too little too late? Here is Felicissimo, one of a trio of youngsters called up for tonight's game to compensate for the loss of Trincao and Quenda and Gonçalves, and one of them at least is getting to see some minutes in the Champions League. A great experience for a teenager. I think it's his debut in the competition for them tonight.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's a great opportunity to go and show that you can mix it on this stage. And
for, 65 minutes, Sporting got it spot on, didn't they?
They did.
They had history in their sights.
Yeah. And they'll be absolutely gutted that they weren't able to sort of frustrate Bayern Munich for a little bit longer. It was I felt it was inevitable that Bayern would score 1, possibly 2, but the fact that they've got that third, it feels like they might just have broken the Portuguese hearts here.
Goal number 79 of a season which is not really yet halfway through. It's remarkable, really. That's a lovely little touch by Kimmich, and he's got the ball back. A scoop forward, down goes Stanisic inside the box, and he believes he was checked by the defender. Nick Walsh shakes his head and says no penalty. Might VAR have a look at this one, Adrian?
I don't think so. I mean, Stanisic staging a bit of a sit-down protest, isn't he? It's a lovely little dinky pass.
Do you know, he's not really got eyes for the ball, the substitute Felicissimo.
I think it is a foul. But I don't see them bringing it back. I really don't. But yeah, Stanisic not happy at all.
I'll tell you what, had the scoreline still been 1-0 for Sporting, I reckon those protests from Bayern would have gone on a bit longer. As it is, they've shut up pretty sharpish, and there's a bit of room here for the aforementioned Felicissimo, and a chance here, a big one too for Sporting, and that deflection, I think, of Upamecano takes the ball up and over the bar. That was a really good chance for Luis Suarez to get it back to 3-2.
Should have done better. Yeah, it's good work down the right. And he takes his touch and then he sort of loses his balance. He's really well closed down by Upamecano. And he doesn't really regain the balance. He sort of stabs it towards goal and it gets deflected over in the end. But yeah, that was a good chance for them. Probably the best that they've created since they scored.
Yeah, probably the only chance they've created since they scored, but they've spurned it. And credit too to Upamecano, got back to throw his body in the way of Luis Suarez's goal-bound shot. Corner though still to come for Sporting, and a goal here would make it interesting. Goes towards the back post. It's an easy take though for Manuel Neuer, who, aside of the own goal that he's conceded, has had a very quiet evening on his return to the Bayern goal. He was left on the bench for the 5-0 romp against Stuttgart. His deputy, Jonas Urbig, getting a rare start between the posts. He's seen as the long-term successor to Manuel Neuer. He's out of contract at the end of the season, and of course he's touching 40, he's 39 now.
Yeah.
And whether he will continue or not is open to question.
Yeah, he's not the goalkeeper he used to be. He's still very good, clearly. I think, as soon as he's out of contract, I could see maybe a retirement. It depends if they're going to win the Bundesliga. If they're in the latter stages of the Champions League, that might be a nice way to bow out. We of course saw PSG, last year's winners, dispense with Donnarumma, didn't we? Which was a real surprise.
Yeah.
But it created a pathway for a different type of goalkeeper, and I think they'll do the same here, maybe.
Well, given the career he's had with Bayern and with the national team, I'm sure the decision will be left to Manuel Neuer.
Yep. Yeah, I think so.
He's been so good for so many years.
One of the modern greats, there's no question about that. Yeah,
no doubt.
Yeah.
And in terms of Bayern Munich, by the way, he's 6th on their all-time appearance list. 580th game for the club tonight. Only 2 behind the legendary Franz Beckenbauer. So he'll beat that tally in the next couple of weeks. And we've got just under 5 minutes to go at the Allianz Arena. Simon Hillen, Adrian Clark in commentary with you for this one tonight. Bayern Munich 3, Sporting Lisbon 1. Tottenham against Slavia Prague to come up later on Talksport 2 with Ian Danter and Scott Minto. It'll be an interesting clash as well as Thomas Frank's team look to get back to winning ways. Here you'd say that the 3 points are almost done and dusted. The ball is lifted into the Sporting Lisbon penalty area once again. But an easy take for Rui Silva, who's been by far the busier of the 2 goalkeepers this evening.
He has, yeah, indeed. Yeah, it's been a devastating 12-minute spell, hasn't it? Between the 65th and 77th minute, that's where the damage was done for Bayern Munich. You know, they were staring at, their first, I think, what would have been the first defeat, 37 in the league or group phase of the Champions League. They just don't lose here in the early stages of this competition. But that was the reality of it. They were on the brink, but they found a way. They didn't panic, and once one goal came, there was a bit of a collapse from Sporting.
Well, let's see if Sporting can make a very interesting game of it in the last 5 minutes. They are on the attack, but a heavy touch from Luis Suarez means that attack breaks down. And that brings me to the next big question, I guess, and there are changes afoot off one of the benches as well that you can consider, Clark. Is given the top of the table and how it looks, how genuine a contender are Bayern for the Champions League crown this year?
Oh, they can win it. Yeah, no, there's no question about that. The performance against PSG, with 10 men without. You remember Luis Diaz isn't playing tonight, or Musiala. They've got the squad. I mean, they outplayed PSG with 10 men. You know, yes, Arsenal beat them, but that can happen. I think in any one-off game, Bayern Munich have a chance, and I would expect them to get to at least the quarters, but I think they're good enough to get to the semi or even the final itself. And if you get there, you've always got a chance to win it.
Yep, they've got to be part of the conversation, haven't they? 3 changes for Bayern. Gnabry, Pavlovic and Stanisic off. And Goretzka and Alphonso Davies are coming on. We'll just confirm the other introduction for you in a moment. You are listening to Bayern Munich and Sporting Lisbon in the Champions League live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it, book now at enterprise.co.uk. Harry Kane going to ground. And Bayern getting the free kick. Good to see Alphonso Davies back. We talked about him in the first half, Adrian Clark.
Yeah.
He's been out for an awful long time, since March 2025, and he's a real weapon for them when he's fit.
Very much so. Yeah, I think he can obviously play in different positions as well. But his pace is just on another level. Alphonso Davies, once he knocks it out of his feet, he is near impossible to stop. So yeah, the fans will be thrilled to have him back, and I think once he gets up to speed, he's nailed on to be a starter for Vincent Kompany in this second half of the season.
Just confirming those changes: Stanisic, Pavlovic and Gnabry off. As a shot is fired in from the edge of the box by Michael Olise, but blocked by the Sporting defenders, and as they try and retrieve it, it goes behind for a Bayern corner. Alphonso Davies, Leon Goretzka and Hiroki Ito, the Japanese international, are the 3 players on, and they're barely going to have time to break sweat. We're in the 89th minute. The game all but won for Bayern Munich. Hiroki Ito has taken his place in the 6-yard box as they look to add a little bit of gloss. Harry Kane still looking for another goal this season, punched away the corner by Rui Silva. Wasn't the strongest of punches. And Bayern are quickly back on the ball through Alphonso Davies, which gets a big cheer from the Bayern Munich supporters.
It does, yeah. He just used his acceleration there just to win the ball back for his team. But yeah, you sense that he's just using this as a little fitness session down this near touchline. He's up and down, Alphonso Davies, at the moment.
He's got a big year ahead, of course, with that home World Cup of sorts to come. Canada, one of the 3 co-hosts of the World Cup finals in North America next year, so he'll want to be fully fit, fully firing ahead of that. We're into the first of 4 additional minutes at the end of the 90, and Bayern now, well, it's almost a training session, Adrian Clark.
It is, yeah, they're flying.
Harry Kane trying to outmuscle his defender inside the box, but Sporting that one away, and he as far as Leon Goretzka, who is a quality player in his own right, and is now struggling to cement the first team spot, such as the quality of competition that he's got at Bayern Munich.
Yeah, look, Goretzka was a regular for years and years here, but Pavlovic in the big games, in the ones that really matter, especially in the Champions League, he gets the nod alongside Kimmich, who's locked in really as that creative orchestrator from deep. But yeah, they've got the depth certainly to go deep in this competition, no doubt about it.
Substitutions coming up for both teams. Maxi Araujo hasn't really worked in playing a little bit further forward, although you could argue until the 65th minute it did. He's going to be replaced by another one of those teenagers, Salvatore Blopa, who's already made a few first team appearances. And we're going to see another Japanese international, Hiromasa Morita, on as well. And Harry Kane is going to end the match on the bench. He's taken his leave. No goal for England's #1 striker tonight.
No goal. But he's played well, and he's come close on on several occasions. I think that first half he was particularly influential. Yeah, he had 5 shots in the game, Harry Kane. I think 4 of those come in a short spell in that first half, didn't it? But it just wasn't his night.
Nicholas Jackson, his replacement, the online striker from Chelsea. Immediately he pushes forward as Bayern have a set piece. And the new arrival, Salvatore Blopa, just knocks the ball away towards the touchline, but Bayern are quickly back in possession. And Sporting, wearing the look of a team now, just want the final whistle to blow. Goretzka heads one well wide. And that should take us to the last 90 seconds of a game that looks, when you look at that scoreline, as though it's been pretty straightforward for Bayern, but it was anything but that for, well, just about 3/4 of the match.
Look, you look at the stats. If anyone hasn't seen this game or hasn't listened to it, they'll look at the stats and say 3-1, 23 shots to 4. The XG is a huge gap, and they'll say, well, that was an easy routine win, but it really wasn't, and they've had to earn it, and they were a tough nut to crack, Sporting, for 65 minutes. But unfortunately, once that first goal went in, there was a little bit of a mini collapse, wasn't there? And that's proved to be decisive in the end. But they could come out of this game, this real tough test, with their heads held high still.
Yeah, they've certainly been competitive. They've got a free kick here, courtesy of a little shove by Konrad Laimer. That's a yellow card for him. That means he will miss Bayern Munich's next game, and he's continuing the argument, which is probably not the wisest thing to do with referee Nick Walsh. You don't want a yellow to turn into a red for dissent.
Daft yellow card. I mean, that rant has to be really at himself, not the referee. He misses the next match for what? You know, in the 94th minute, player's going nowhere and he shoves him to the deck needlessly. Yeah, Konrad Laimer, that was daft, I'm afraid.
So he will miss the home match against Union Saint-Gilloise of Belgium on the 21st of January. Little break after this week's matches before Champions League resumes in early 2026. And this might be the last chance of the match, and it's going to go the way of Sporting Lisbon. They have a free kick, which Morita sends towards the back post, and it drifts harmlessly behind from Bayern Munich's point of view. And that should be just about that, Adrian Clark, and you can give us your thoughts on the 90 minutes.
Yeah, look, I've enjoyed the game. I think it was inevitable. Look, Bayern always score at least 2. They usually get 3. But they left it a little bit late here today to do it. But there was a really powerful spell in the middle of the second half where they just blew the Portuguese side away. And they march on. They are absolutely going to finish in the top 8. But they've got their eyes on top 2, I'm sure, in this league phase.
Yeah, the full-time whistle blows, and those 3 goals in 6 minutes, enough to turn things around after a Joshua Kimmich own goal had given Sporting Lisbon, just for a fleeting moment, hope that they might become the first ever Portuguese team to defeat Bayern Munich on their own turf. But at full-time, those goals from Serge Gnabry, from Lennart Karl and from Jonathan Tah, more than enough for the 3 points, and they remain on track for the knockout stage. Full time at the Allianz Arena, and it's finished Bayern Munich 3, Sporting Lisbon 1. And it was a very entertaining 90 minutes, Adrian Clark, and as we say, just for a few brief moments you thought, oh, what if? What if they can defend? And they defended pretty well, Sporting, up until the point that first goal went in, and then everything just seemed to collapse a little bit for them.
It did, yeah. It was a really bad goal to give away as well, wasn't it, with the corner? Just left completely unmarked, Serge Gnabry. Yes, there was a clever block from Harry Kane, but the setup was exposed. The frailty of that corner kick defensive unit was poor, and they never really recovered from it, did they? Then we saw that lovely touch and hook volley from Lennart Karl, who absolutely deserved to get his name on the score sheet. And then late on from another set piece, Tah volleyed in, didn't he, from Gnabry's nod down, and again Gnabry's left alone at the far post from a dead ball situation. So lessons to learn, I think, for Sporting, but for Bayern, look, they relied a bit on individuals here tonight, but why shouldn't you when you've got so many of them?
Yeah, they've got so much talent in this squad, there's no doubt about that. And that makes it now just 1 win in the last 17 away games for Sporting against German clubs in European competition. That solitary win against Eintracht Frankfurt in the Champions League back in 22-23. But Bayern Munich march on. A smile on the face of Vincent Kompany. You wouldn't exactly say he's beaming, and I'm sure he'll pick one or two holes in that performance tonight, but in the end they just had too much quality for the opponents.
Yeah, exactly. It's just one of those games you have to win. He'll think, well, we weren't at our best. We were a bit lethargic, a little bit half-paced for a lot of the game, but ultimately he's got to be pleased. You know, he's come away from this with no fresh injuries, a nice comfortable win in the end, and they roll on. The standards are ridiculously high here. You know, you expect them to smash everybody to smithereens in front of their own fans, but you can't do that every single time. And as we said earlier, Sporting's defensive record in the Champions League before tonight was terrific. They'd only conceded 5 goals in 5 games, so they were a tough nut to crack, but they ground them down in the end.
Final question in terms of the 90 minutes we've just watched. Harry Kane's performance. So he didn't score, but what did you make of his overall display?
He wasn't as dominant as he has been, was he? A lot of the time you watch Bayern Munich and it's all Harry Kane. Tonight it wasn't. I felt like the wingers and the attacking midfielders were more involved. He did some good things. He was unlucky not to score when he hit the post. Also had another good shot saved. But yeah, I think overall he was kind of marshalled quite well, actually. I think he found it difficult against the 3 centre-halves, but yeah, he'll have better nights. But really, tonight wasn't about Kane, it was about the supporting cast, and they absolutely stepped up.
Well, I'll tell you what, Mainz, who are Bayern's next opponents at the Allianz Arena at the weekend, they'll be going, oh no, Harry Kane's going to score.
He doesn't blank twice in a row, does he?
Anyway, his teammates helped him out tonight, and Bayern 3-1 winners in the end. So, time now to pick our man of the match with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
The Here For It hero on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, we're here for it.
So, Adrian, your man of the match.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I thought that Kimmich had some good moments, probing from deep. We saw some lovely pieces of play from Gnabry and Elise out wide. But I think I've got to give it to the whiz kid, Lennart Karl. Goal disallowed, a wonderful piece of skill, the best moment of individual magic in the entire game, where he almost scored, and then he did get a goal, and when it came, it was top class as well. So Lennart Karl gets my man of the match, and I'll tell you what, he'll be getting loads more of these throughout his career.
Yeah, Lenny Karl sounds like a London gangster, doesn't he? Certainly a gangster on the field. He was brilliant tonight, and Bayern did enough to win it by 3-1. That was our man of the match. Here For It hero with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.